But outside the Caribbean, yeah, sorry. Not to say that you're going to call another book and I'll be able to tell you exactly what's in it, but these are so many things that we are not tapping into our resources right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Hence the reason why we need conferences like this. Hence the reason why we need to do research in the Caribbean and use the information to publish journals and to use the information in a classroom. That's what's important. Because most of the time when, for myself, because of my experiences, I'm able to tap into local information to disseminate the topic that I'm talking about. However, to really get into getting information, especially the history and all the research, we don't really use it. And I think this is important where we could, produce journals and get the students to use them and really know about ourselves, because we, internationally, I think we have done excellent in just about every sport. We even had bobsledding. I mean, please, the Caribbean, right? So I'm glad that you said it, and I will make a considered effort to use more of the local books. Okay, thank you very much.
Professor Blair, a very quick response because we need to make
very
to
quickly.
the next question.
I'll plead ignorance on this too, having not read the book, but it's great that a group of people from A&M are here, and I hope you get a lot out of the conference. And I made a note, and I will get the book and I will read it.
Great, excellent.
Yeah. Check. Are we on? Okay. Good morning. I am Chadville Pilgrim. I'm unattached.
No, just signaling brief.
Right. I have a couple questions, really. Ms. Jackson, you spoke about paradigm shift. I'd like you to expand on this notion of paradigm shifting. From where to what, okay. Firstly. The question, and you made reference several times to the fact that UE is serious about sport. And I mean, forgive me if I'm cynical, No, and I'm a cynic. I say this against the backdrop that I'm among the first 6 sport majors graduating from this university. I graduated in 2003 as an undergrad in sport management from this university. There's no advocacy. I'm yet to find work in sport. If I was not a sport entrepreneur and did not create my own work in sport, I would get none. Every once in a while, so Professor Blair knows my stance on this, I get a little N, so a part-time lecturer at UTT in sport, but there's little or no advocacy. Is sport just performance? When this is for UE and UTT, since we have them both on the panel, when you're dropping programs like development and sport for development, and Professor Blair knows my stance on this, when you're dropping development, we're one of 3 universities in the world, sport for development. When you have programs within UE where you're competing for the same program and one end of UE accepting the other end of UE, like for instance, you do a CPE in UE Open, and that's a certificate in physical education, and main campus UE don't accept their own university-type programs. People don't even know what's going on from one end to the other. When you have this set of academic, the academics competing for territory and for turf, what do you achieve? So I know it's a lot of questions, and
it's the same question.
So is it really just all convenience, really? It boils down to that.
Okay, before you respond, just house rule. It is important that you frame your comments or views in a question, please. That's really important. All right? Be creative, but frame it in a question. If you're unable to frame it in a question, then we have a little challenge. Okay? So.
Yes, he said UE and UTT. Paradigm shift is your first question. Traditionally, I think in the Caribbean, West Indies cricket was it. Let's be real, everybody, that was where the focus was. They didn't necessarily make any money, and then you had track and field where snippets of people would get a medal every now and then over at the Olympic Games, and then the World Championships came into being and gave more opportunities for track and field persons to bloom. The Commonwealth Games existed in a real way, and yes, but it wasn't world, and so it had its own impact on the Caribbean, and that was good then, the Pan Am Games and all of those. And again, I'm using a sport that resonates across the Caribbean, not talking about one country or so. And then all of a sudden, well, a lot more of us, all of us up here did our degrees in America. So we then went out for better opportunities to see, let us see if we can go and run, because places like University of the West Indies did not offer anything sport at a high level, right? And so it was primarily academic. A lot of the smaller institutions, the UTTs, the UTech, GC Foster in Jamaica didn't necessarily exist. And so University of the West Indies was it, right? And like many things, like our telephone company and everything was it. Things started opening up, persons started going out, recognizing. They started competing well in the different sports for different countries, but the ones who shone on top were track and field athletes. And so because they were doing so well, the Jamaicans, of course, they went in droves. And so therefore the response was similarly, because a lot of Jamaicans like to go away. Maybe in Trinidad they were suffering. Their athletes, they got to a certain level and said, oh, I can do something else. Economic conditions drove Jamaicans away. And then as they started to do well, not just at a collegiate level, they started to stay now and earn money and started to survive on their own. They didn't have to necessarily go into corporate America or corporate Jamaica, because they could then earn through sport. America was always there, but not necessarily the rest of the world in terms of how they made sport. Television works for America. The collegiate system in America is huge. 3 or 4 sports does it. Basketball, baseball, football, right? They do it. They are the revenue generating sport. They're the sport that people blindly pay to go and see, so lots of revenue comes for. When you look at the rest of the world, and I'm speaking from experience because I sat on the University for Sport Board internationally, so I spoke to persons from different countries. It was similar to what we are experiencing, where in the rest of the world, they didn't necessarily take up money and go, to games and pay a lot of money, or television didn't necessarily show everything live. But slowly but surely, when other things started dying, sports started to get a stronger prominence, and we started to become more capitalistic like America, right, in many ways, and trying to recognize that we could earn money in sport, and therefore there was money for management to manage people, and the more persons you had out there, the more persons, and I'm talking about the Caribbean, could then go and have managers. So it started in that small way. We still didn't understand, but the shift came bigger, and then came Usain Bolt, and all of a sudden people in the Caribbean can make a whole heap of money, right? And then Usain Bolt didn't just come with a manager. He came with a coach. He came with assistant, a publicist. He came with medical people. And so all of a sudden now, everybody can stay home in Jamaica and train. Because Stephen Francis had a staff on that, and Glenn had. And so what the Americans and the rest of the world went to other places for warm weather, we recognized that we suddenly have something at home that we can use. We stayed at home, we trained, we did well. The world, of course, now our back is exposed because we are doing well, and they're asking suddenly why. It's not sudden. It had been gradually been there, and then the right thing at the right time happened. So that's happening on the field of play. Right? Cricket starts to get money. In West Indies cricket, they lobbied, they got that, right? Basketballers, you see some West Indian people in the NBA. They are coming back now to the Caribbean home to do that. All of that is happening on the field of play. And what was not happening with our governments and our associations, our Olympic associations, or athletic association, or they weren't seeing the light, because they are not accustomed to having money to do anything. So their first excuse is that, well, we can't do because we don't have money. And then when the government gives us money to go to these games, that's the only place we can go. That started changing. And persons started saying, oh, no, we can go. We can find another way of getting money to go. And so you had a small group of persons doing that. The shift was happening. And then, I'm speaking personally for like our association. They didn't understand money because they didn't have it and they didn't deal with it. So when people say, oh, there's a lot of money in track, they say, how you make money, how you make money? And then persons started going to make money for themselves. So they use opportunities they had within maybe the association to make money for themselves. And I still don't think that across across the Caribbean that the association get it. I don't think that they understand the role that they play and what they can do to actually make enough money from what is happening out there to come back and help the very same people that are competing. But they have a better understanding. It's now open. They can now negotiate with the Adidas. I personally, when I went to the Olympics in 84, 88, and 92. In 84, the clothes that they gave me couldn't fit me. We were sponsored by Adidas, and I had to wear the men's clothes because I was taller than the rest, as always. We got less than quality stuff. And you looked across, Germany had on beautiful clothes. When you looked England, everybody had on beautiful clothes. I mean, but we, that little third world country, had to get what left. The paradigm shifted. Puma came in, and we had so much stuff. I tell you, when I went with the team in Japan, we had so much stuff. We gave away stuff to the people in Japan. Our athletes are now leaving stuff in the room, right? Because they have so much stuff. They don't wear Puma, so they can't carry Puma. They are Adidas contract. The paradigm has shifted, right? And when I say that, I'm talking from that experience. I know that Trinidad has a similar experience. Barbados, the countries have similar experiences. And so, have we shifted, those of us who need to help now, that shift, the slate has moved. Have we shifted in a way in which we can provide for our Caribbean people the services that they need? I don't say we have to provide all, but at least be in a position to say, can we provide the managers? Why is it that all these professional athletes have managers from England, from Europe? Can we, where are we in this? Who are we preparing to be managers, to be psychologists? We need sports psychologists. We cannot use the ones from Australia or from Europe because they don't understand Caribbean people in the same way. We need Caribbean people to understand Caribbean people. What is our contribution to that? Management of international games. How many of us know to do that? Shouldn't we be hosting? Yes, we can host across the Caribbean. How do we get involved in that? How do we teach our children that come from poor circumstances to be able to invest rather than use and don't have later on in life?
Right.
There's so many answers.
Rudolph, a quick point, please. We need a quick point, emphasis on quick.
I was just answering.
Yes, I think that was a mouthful there. I think for me, though, one of the things is that, and I'll piggyback off of that, there is a paradigm shift. But are the people at the top part of that shift? And one of the catchphrases I've used recently is that we need to build sport from the bottom up. If we put more professionals out there, because I don't think those in administration understand the impact or the change that sports can bring in the region. It has started maybe 10, 15 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago with cricket, where we had the best team in the world by far. In the 80s, we could have had 2, 3 teams playing and beat almost everyone. And we missed the boat then. Are we going to miss it now? Track and field, especially in Jamaica and Trinidad to a lesser extent, is at its peak. And yet we don't have a professional track and field league in the region. Most of our athletes have to go to Europe and the US to compete. We are missing the boat again. Do we understand what we need to do? Do we have the people, the resources? It's there. We just need to tap into it. I think throughout the region, we need more collaboration. We need to come together as tertiary institutions, share our ideas, put plans together, implement plans that would take the region forward in sports in a big way. Right? I think we're still not understanding what's needed.
Right. Shh. Shh. Shulan, quick.
Chad, I know your frustration. And I use the word evangelist. I'm an evangelist for sport because I've seen the light. No, what my experience, and I understand what Chad is saying. He's a graduate from the sports program maybe about 10 years ago, a while now. My journey in the sports world in Trinidad and Tobago has been very interesting and challenging. I would have been pretty much the first person to come out with a sports degree. Opportunities was next to zero. So my path was, I worked with Jack Warner, then I came to the university, and I've always wanted to lecture, but I never got the opportunity. People came, foreigners came, no disrespect, no, not, and they got the opportunity to lecture. Although I was a part-time lecturer at UE for a very, very long time since I've been here, I never got the opportunity to be the full-time lecturer.